365 Sports.
The Kansas City Chiefs offensive line is in a world of pain, and today confirmed Chiefs fans' worst fears. We're going to talk about it here on 365 Sports Chiefs Report. I'm Chase Andrews. We're happy you chose to listen or watch us in whichever way you're viewing today's show. And well, I'm a little flustered because this offensive line that I'm about to have to go through and talk about going up against one of the better defensive lines in the NFL, the Houston Texans, scares me. It really does scare me. And I think a big part about this and a big part of this Chiefs team is trying to get the victory, trying to stay alive in their playoff hopes. And with the offensive line they're going to have to put out against the second best defensive team in the NFL, maybe the first best defensive team at this point, is not good. And for Patrick Mahomes, who's been on the injury report with a knee injury, maybe don't know his mobility level, it's a scary, scary thing. With all that to be said, I still have faith, and I still believe that the Chiefs, who have not lost an Arrowhead to an AFC opponent since 2023 on Christmas Day, against, of all teams, the Las Vegas Raiders, can come out, can get the win, and can push themselves deeper into this season with a playoff hope. Now, let's talk about what the official announcement, though, was today, because we don't have the official injury report. However, during the media session of practice today, there was no sign of Trey Smith or Jawaan Taylor at practice, and the starting offensive line against the Houston Texans will look like this. Your center will be Creed Humphrey, and around him will be Mike Caliendo, Kingsley Suamataia, Wanya Morris, and Jaylen Moore. Wanya Morris and Jaylen Moore scare me the most out of this. Mike Caliendo and Suamataia are pretty much starters throughout the entire season, so not really worried about that. But I just had a thought of looking at this offensive line, looking at what we can expect, and there's not really the greatest stats out there for offensive line play. You can never really work on pressure rate or all that stuff are allowed. So the best metric for offensive line use is going to be, of course, Pro Football Focus and their rankings. So I thought it'd be intriguing. We know what Trey Smith is capable of. We know what Jawaan Taylor is capable of. And I thought it'd be intriguing to compare that to the PFF of every single offensive lineman out there and kind of collectively group their scores, look at what we can kind of make from that, and kind of dissolve if we should actually be scared or not ready for this upcoming game, or if this is something that we should be happy with. Now, the first guy is an easy one. We don't even have to mention him. It's Creed Humphrey. He's the best center in the game and a 90.7 PFF grade. He's definitely better at run blocking with a 90.7 grade there, an 83.1 pass blocking grade. Still, every single one of those rankings are first amongst all 37 centers that are actively eligible for the Pro Football Focus rankings. This is a guy you're not worried about, and at least out of all the offensive linemen, you can talk about the importance of Trey Smith. You can talk about the importance of Jawaan Taylor and other portions of this line. But you obviously know, and I'd be reminiscent to say that center is the most important position. It is. It's the one who touches the ball every single snap. So with this being said, at least you have very cognitive function of what you're going to get there. And for Creed Humphrey, he's always been a top tier guy, top tier person as well. So very glad to have him out there. But in going with some other guys, the same cannot be said about rankings and PFF grades. The first is Mike Caliendo, who has been okay this year, 59.9 on the overall grade in terms of PFF. That ranks him 40th amongst all 79 guards. So literally right at mid. I mean, they're literally right at it. His pass blocking grade, though, might be the worst pass blocking grade the Chiefs have had on their offensive line in legit years. His PFF grade in terms of pass blocking of 31.6 ranks him 76th out of 79 guards, and yet he is a starter. When you have a PFF grade lower than 40, you should not be a starter, and yet the Chiefs in this position, they're using him. Now, he's been a starter all year because of his run blocking grade at 74.5, which ranks him a very high, reputable mark with the guards at 11th out of the 79 guards available on this ranking scale. But still, it's another look at this and saying, okay, 31.6 when Patrick Mahomes has popped up on the injury report doesn't exactly find to be the best thing. Then you go to Kingsley Suamataia, the product out of BYU, Chiefs draft pick in the 2024 NFL draft, and got a 65.6 overall grade, not too shabby, 32nd out of 79 guards in the NFL. He has a 70.2 pass blocking grade, ranking him 17th out of 79 guys, and then a 61.7 pass blocking grade, which is definitely something that you should watch out for in a lot of aspects. So these are the three guys that I'm not worried about. And I wanted to kind of just run through them real quick just to establish that these guys have been on the offensive line for majority of the season, if not all of them, for most of these guys. With that to be said, the next two guys, Wanya Morris and Jaylen Moore, that's where you start to get a little concerned. Not to mention Mike Caliendo. Technically you're out three offensive line now because Josh Simmons is gone, Trey Smith, and Jawaan Taylor. Wanya Morris has not had enough snaps to be ranked in all this. However, maybe that's a good thing for him because his PFF overall grade is a 57.8, and his pass blocking grade is a 23.7. I am concerned for Patrick Mahomes because a lot of these guys who are fill-ins or replacements for Smith, Taylor, or Simmons, their run blocking grade is actually pretty good. Their pass blocking grade is not that good. But the fact of the matter is the run blocking grade is good because the Chiefs don't run the ball that often. And when they do, it's not exactly the way you think of it. Patrick Mahomes is going to run the ball, which ranks as a pass blocking grade. His pass blocking is one of the worst in the NFL. In fact, it may be the worst in the NFL if he had enough snaps. But that's the other problem with what we're expecting some of these guys to go off of. And a tackle that's going to be facing against the likes of some very, very, very good defensive linemen. I am concerned for Patrick Mahomes. I am concerned for the ability of this team to outweigh its offensive line woes. And maybe Wanya Morris surprises me. Maybe Mike Caliendo surprises me. Maybe Jaylen Moore surprises me and plays at a not bad level and can protect Patrick Mahomes so that on Sunday Night Football, he is not running around. But I don't know if that's fully going to happen. I don't know if that's something that I fully can trust. I don't know if this is something that I can believe in. And so I look at him and then I go over to Jaylen Moore, who's got a 65.7 grade, which ranking him 45th out of 81 tackles. And once again, his pass block grade, 56.7, not great, but 66th out of 81 tackles and a 67.8 run block grade. The pass block is what I want to focus on just because that's, in my opinion, more important in this light because of how good the defensive line is for the Houston Texans. Their secondary is very good too, don't get me wrong, but when your strength is not running and your offensive line is hurt, and the strength of the Texans is for sure a defensive line area, amongst other things in the defense, you got to throw it. You got to find a way to throw the ball. You have to find a way to get out of the pocket, get some extra time if that's what it's going to take, and make plays last longer. So I thought it was interesting. Now, this is overall PFF grade because if I did the pass blocking grade, I think I might legit freak out because of how low that cognitive or collective score would be, rather. But if you put all of the players that we just went through in Jaylen Moore, Mike Caliendo, Wanya Morris, Creed Humphrey, and Kingsley Suamataia, their average PFF score is a 67.94, which in terms of PFF rankings is about mid, maybe a little bit above mid, maybe. But the problem with that is it's a 67.94 PFF ranking between these guys, and you have a 90 PFF grade in there with the likes of Creed Humphrey as your center. While this has not been confirmed to say that Trey Smith is officially out, I know by the time this comes out, it could easily be he's out. In fact, I would say that it's more likely than not he's going to be rolled out today, and same can be said for Jawaan Taylor. The overarching theme is that this is going to be a strugglesome game. And so we're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, DraftKings. So you can put in $5 and get $300 of bonus bets instantly. But after that, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the defensive line for the Houston Texans and a little bit of an intriguing story about the history or status or future, I should say, of Jawaan Taylor. So we'll take a break, get a word from our sponsor, DraftKings, and be right back here on 365 Sports Chiefs Report. Missouri, your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. Now you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more. All from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day, the tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 365Chiefs. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code 365Chiefs. Crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promo. That's right. The crown is yours, Missouri, as it is officially live on as of December 1st. And new Missouri customers can get $5 in and achieve $300 of bonus bets instantly by using the code 365Chiefs. Saw the Thursday night game last night. Got a bunch of stuff coming up this weekend with NFL, so make sure you go check it out again. 365Chiefs. You put in 5, you get $300 of bonus bets instantly. We've talked about this offensive line, the worries I have, the questions I have, the statements I have said about the pass blocking and ability of it, but what maybe takes the cake on everything is more or less the defensive line of the Texans. The way that I see this Texans defensive line, the secondary, this defense as a whole, and think that's going to be a tough thing to break through. So I want to kind of break it down piece by piece in terms of should we be worried about the Texans defensive line. Let's go through the first obvious things. In terms of their sack percentage, sack ratio, whatever you want to call it, they right now rank tied for 5th or 7th. What am I saying? They're tied for, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're tied for 6th in the NFL in sacks at 34 sacks. That is a part of it, but I think the bigger thing goes to the specific players, the specific people that you work for, because everybody and their mother wants to talk about Will Anderson Jr. But he's not even the biggest sack leader on the Texans. They also have Danielle Hunter at 4th as he has 11 sacks. Will Anderson has 10.5 sacks. So it's just hard when you look through this list and immediately at the top of it, you see 2 of the Houston Texans. And that's obviously a pretty scary thing. But you talk about tackles for loss. Will Anderson is up there. Danielle Hunter is up there. It's a tough thing to kind of break down. Now, you'd think that, well, it's okay. Like, the Chiefs have a good defensive line. That's true, but Chris Jones only has 7 tackles for loss, which is 45th in the NFL. And so in all this, you can look and break down and look at the Texans' defensive line and the Texans as a team and think, okay, obviously their defensive line is in a very good spot. They're also a +9 in terms of turnover differential, which I find interesting because that's 2nd in the NFL, but the first one is the Chicago Bears with a +17 turnover differential, which is absolutely insane to me. But when you break down the basic stats like that, it obviously is a concerning factor. What's even worse is when you look at the pressure percentage and the sack totals that this team constantly gets on different sorts of teams. I mean, their pressure percentage is amongst the top rated ones in the entire league. And so knowing the Chiefs' offensive line is in disarray right now, I think it's rightfully so to say that Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. have to be chipped every single play. I don't care if it's Noah Gray out there. Hopefully he seems to be good to go after being full participant in practice both 2 days ago, Thursday, and today. So that's obviously a good thing to have him as potentially a 2 tight end set. Use him to chip Will Anderson or Danielle Hunter, but also you're going to have to use Isaiah Pacheco and your running backs and figure out a way to slow him down. I mean, ultimately, Kareem Hunt is 30 years old, so I don't really want him trying to chip a 24-year-old Will Anderson, right? Like that doesn't seem to go well. I don't think that's going to end up well, especially for a Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco. So I'd be curious the way that the Chiefs end up playing this game, end up conversing about the, I guess, game plan in a lot of ways. So in my mind, you would think this offensive line, with the way it is, you'd want to pass more, but we always know Andy Reid's lived and died sometimes by the run. That could easily be what he does this time. So ultimately, we will not know until Sunday. And that's the biggest thing, is we can sit here, we can speculate, we can say this, that, or this, and it won't matter because on Sunday, something completely different will happen. So we just got to wait and see. There is one more thing on the offensive line that was recently reported that I thought was very, very interesting. You see, recently ESPN wrote an article kind of talking about cap space, what the thoughts are for different teams. And of course, with the Chiefs and the cap space position they are in right now and the projection for this offseason to be -30 in the hole, there's going to be some intriguing decisions and moves. And so while that is going on, there is an interesting article being put out talking about the Chiefs given, quote, a good chance to cut ties with an $80 million flop of a signing. The flop they're talking about is Jawaan Taylor, which I've spent a lot of this show talking about how bad this offensive line is and how worried I am and how I do not like the way that this game is going to be set out to play. But at the end of the day, Jawaan Taylor is not exactly the cream of the crop in terms of offensive lineman, and he's not been worth the 4-year, $80 million contract that he signed. And that's kind of what Dan Grazzino said in his latest article, talking about Jawaan Taylor and talking about the basically effectiveness of whether or not the Chiefs will keep him or not. And so when you look at the article, he says, quote, Taylor signed a 4-year, $80 million contract with the Chiefs prior to the 2023 season as part of their effort to shore up their offensive line. He has been there starting right tackle all 3 seasons since then, but he has also been the most penalized player in the NFL over that span, with 49 penalties, 41 of those accepted in 45 games. The next highest penalty total, remember, 49 penalties for Jawaan Taylor, is 37 for Laramie Tunsil. That is always a worry and has been a worry for the past 3 years with Jawaan Taylor. The false starts, the holding, the illegal motions, the lining up off the line. It's been not great for him in penalties. 49 over 3 seasons is not great. You're averaging at least a penalty per game. At least. Actually, at that point, you're closing in on 1.5. That's not good. For a guy who signed a 4-year, $80 million deal on the offensive line, it can't be that. And so with the 1 year left in his career, that's kind of where Dan Grazzino, or not career, but contract, that's where Dan Grazzino kind of talks about what the Chiefs could do to save it, saying, quote, Taylor will have 1 year and $20 million in non-guaranteed money left on his contract after the season. And the Chiefs will carry about $7.4 million in dead money on their salary cap for next season if they release him, which feels like there's a good chance for that to happen. Kansas City signed Jaylen Moore in free agency in 2025, and he could be the starting right tackle if they move on from Jawaan Taylor. This is all smart reporting and smart things. $20 million of non-guaranteed. If they cut him at 7.4, you're basically saving about close to $13 million in cap space at that one cut alone. The issue there is Jaylen Moore, for as, I guess, flexible as he's been this season, maybe that's the word to put it, flexible, he's still not playing up to the expectations that the Chiefs fans have of him, and especially coming over from free agency. I don't think anybody expected him to be a starting offensive line in some aspects, but he could easily do that in next season because of the effort that he's put forth this year. And talk about him filling in for Josh Simmons. You talk about him now filling in once again for the injured offensive line without Trey Smith, Taylor, and Simmons. So there are options out there for Kansas City, but for Jawaan Taylor, I don't see him playing with the Kansas City Chiefs next year. You talk about the negative $30 million in the hole the Chiefs are right now, and an easy cut of $13 million right off the bat for Jawaan seems like a slam dunk of a move. Seems like it does. But I think to that point, it does make for a little bit of a pressure spot for Jaylen Moore and for Brett Veach and the Kansas City Chiefs on whether or not they trust Moore to be a starter in the future. And while he was a good starter for the time that Simmons was out, the option is clear that Simmons was better. The option was clear that Jawaan Taylor, for the penalties he does get, is a little better. But is he $13 million worth of better? I really don't think so at this point. But a lot of things ride on this upcoming game versus the Texans, and there's so much to talk about, so many things we could sit here and break down. But like I said prior in the show, ultimately, we right now are just waiting for the result, because that will alter the way this season is looked at. If they're able to win, the chance is still there for them to go on, win out, and make the postseason, or win 4 out of 5 and just sneak in. If they lose, that becomes a real tough conversation. But we find out on Sunday night at 7:20 Central Time. We're going to have a post game after that game. But for now, that's what we got for you. So again, no Jawaan Taylor, no Trey Smith. Going to be a tough ride on the offensive line. One final thing, as I mentioned earlier in the show, if you want to get $300 of bonus bets instantly while putting in just $5 to DraftKings, new Missouri customers can do just exactly that by using the code 365Chiefs. So go check that out today. Obviously got some football coming up. You can get your bets in really, really easily here. That's what we got for you today on the Chiefs Report. We do appreciate your time, whether you watched us on YouTube or listened on Apple Music or Spotify. We appreciate you. Hit that follow button on Apple Music, Spotify. If you're on YouTube, then make sure you subscribe for the latest Chiefs news. For now, though, guys, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
365 Sports.